you been thinking about getting in to get an energy healing session done, but you're not quite sure exactly what to expect? And maybe you're even a little freaked out to go? Well, stick with me because in today's video, I'm going to shed light on exactly how energy work works. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Vanessa Eberts. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and I practice energy medicine. And if you haven't already done so, please do hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every single time I post a new video about self-healing and energy work. So I get asked about energy medicine all the time in my practice. And really that comes from people who are curious and want to try out an energy session, but they're not quite sure what they're in for. And it also comes from people who have had an energy session and they really want to know a little bit more about how things happen behind the scenes so that they can better describe their experience to their family and their friends. So my goal with this video is to shed a little bit of light on exactly what energy medicine is and how it really works, and some of the ways that it might profoundly help you to shift some of the things that are keeping you stuck in life in any domain in your life. So let's get right to the heart of it. We can't really have a discussion about how energy works without understanding the central concept here, which of course is energy. So many different cultures have been describing this for millennia, right? The Chinese called it qi, the Japanese called it ki, the Indian Ayurvedic word is prana or pranayama. You might have also heard of life force energy or vital energy. But really what these are all describing is the same thing, this universal concept of energy. And really everything in our universe really is energetic. And so, different shapes, different types, comes in different forms depending on, what things are, but everything is animated by some type of energy. So whether that is things external to us, right? The environment outside, the weather patterns, the animals, the systems, all of those things, as well as everything that animates us as human beings. So, whether that is our actual physiology, there's, many different types of energy within the different systems in our body, and then just different things like our thoughts and our feelings and things that we get creative about and bring to life, right? All of those things have different types of energy. And so what's really important to understand about that is that your chi must always be flowing. It must be smoothly, consistently, harmoniously flowing. And so really at the heart of any sort of energy medicine practice, that's what we're really looking for, is to find out what's in the way, where's the obstacle, why is your chi not flowing properly, and how do we amend that so you have that restored chi flow, which brings balance back. Because I guarantee you, if you have anything that's mental or emotional or physical going on, there is something in your energy that is blocked up at that point in time. So we're always going to be looking to clear those things, and that will restore your wellness. So to better understand how the chi flow actually happens and continues, we need to take a good look at the yin and yang symbol, right? So really this yin and yang theory is central to traditional Chinese medicine, and it comes from the Taoist perspective of these two polar opposite energies, right? So you have your yin energy and you have your yang energy. And so the yin is your cooling, nighttime, restorative, refreshing, female energy. So think moistening, think quenching, think hydrating, think cooling and relaxing energy. That's your yin. And then the opposite to that is your yang. So that's all of your hot energy, your spicy energy, your male energy, daytime, active, just anything that's really adding a little bit of energy to it. It's got a lot of excitement, right? So you absolutely need both. And really those two things are moving into each other simultaneously. And it's because each of them has a little dot of the opposite contained within them. So they're mutually sort of attracted to one another, continuously flowing. So yin into yang and yang into yin. And so if there's ever a problem in that it stagnates, you've got a major problem, right? So think about that. Anytime you've ever had a blockage, it's never any fun, right? So have you ever been constipated? That's a blockage, right? We need to get things flowing again to get you some relief. Or if you've ever slammed your hand in the car door and you have swelling of your fingers, right? What does that give you? Nothing but intense pain, because the swelling gets to be so great that it occludes any blood flow, and any tissue in that area is going to be cut off from the supply. It's very stagnant. It's like not moving. So what do we need to do? We need to find ways to get that flowing again. We can, get some ice on there or get it drained or whatever that is. But essentially, once we get things flowing again, you find relief. And that's really the heart of any energy practice. So whether we're talking about traditional Chinese medicine or TCM using acupuncture to manipulate your chi flow and get things going again, and really finding out what's actually going on there. Like, why do you have your chi blocked up? And, maybe is it being drained by someone or something, right? Do you have a chi deficiency going on? Or what's really in the way, so that we can find out what that is and restore you to balance. Or if we're going to do that with energy work, with no needles, we're going to do that using our intuition to do the same thing. Find out what's really going on here. What is the core issue? What is at the root of that blockage? How can we remove that so that we can get you back to balance? And balance just means chi flow. And when your chi is flowing nice and smoothly and fluidly, consistently, without any turbulence, any stopping or starting, really what you have is wellness. So, you're happy. Your emotions are very balanced. They're not high highs and low lows. You have a nice, even keel, calm, cool head about yourself. You're very present. You're very aware. You are in your body. And so you know what's going on. You have a greater sense of self-awareness because of that, right? And then physically, you have wellness there too, right? Because, everything's getting the nutrients that it needs, and you're able to release any of the toxins that are going on. So overall, when your chi is flowing well, you basically have everything moving in the right direction. You have optimal functioning. But there are many things that can block up our chi flow, right? So things in our environment can really contribute to this. So environmental toxins, things such as the foods we're eating and the air we're breathing and some of the water we're consuming, right? So there's toxins in that can really hinder our chi flow. But more importantly, our poor dietary choices that we make all the time are really contributing to those blockages in our chi flow. So things like really heavy, greasy, damp foods like fast food, of course, and then anything that's really cold and dampening as well. So ice cream and smoothies and Slurpees are definitely going to stagnate your spleen and stomach chi specifically, but it's going to hinder your chi flow. Now, even more importantly than that, the one thing that's probably the most overlooked in terms of things that stagnate our chi is really all of the negative emotions we experience. Especially when you have negative emotions that you don't have good ways to release. You don't have good ways to move them along, and they stay with you. And what happens over time is those negative emotions build upon one another. They contribute. So your blockage starts out as something really small and grows bigger and bigger over time until something really major happens. So essentially, life blocks up our chi flow, right? Because we're always bombarded with things. We're always experiencing negative emotions all around us. Really, you can't get away from that. And also all the environmental toxins that are there, plus our poor dietary and lifestyle choices we may continuously make, right? So you can see how quickly these things can get really stagnated over time, and we must find good ways to keep our chi flowing. Now, to give you a little bit better understanding as to how those negative emotions tend to start out small and build into really big blockages, you just need to think about any of the core negative emotions you've ever experienced as a child, right? So take, for example, you're 3 years old and you go to the grocery store with your parents. You see a candy bar that you really want, and so of course you ask your parents to buy you that candy bar, and they tell you no. So this is the first time you've really had this, I want this thing, why can't I have this thing? Why are they telling me no? What exactly is this rejection thing? Right? And so you internalize that. As a little 3-year-old kid, you're trying to make sense of that and figure out what that is. So in you pondering that and sitting with that, it stores somewhere in your energy. Now, anytime you have something after that core initial rejection feeling come into your life, right? You may be trying out for the soccer team and you don't make it. Or you ask someone out on a date and they say no, or you applied for enrollment into a program and you were declined or not accepted, right? Any of those things that you've ever had after that core experience with rejection is now layering on top of that initial rejection feeling that you first had. So a very small, energetic block turns into something bigger over time. And that's why these things seem to get more obstructive as we get older, because we're just really compounding them as we go if we don't find good ways to release them. So whenever we're doing energy work, that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for those sort of core root energetic things that are there, and we're trying to find out, what are they and how can we pull that from your system. And usually when we pull the energetic root from your system, all of those other things that are attached to it go with it. So you can really make a lot of profound transition really quickly when you're using energy work. If you think of your body operating like a computer, then, over time, we get all these small little things that start jamming up the computer, right? Unnecessary files that are taking up space and programs running in the background, maybe corrupting files or whatever. And you've got, spyware, malware, maybe a virus or two in there. And over time, things will get slower and slower, and you're not operating at all to the capacity you could be operating. And so what happens? You get that spinning wheel where you can't do anything with your computer at all, right? It's too jammed up. So what do we need to do? We need to clean it all up. We need to delete some of those unnecessary files and maybe run a disk defrag and clean up the whole system. Then when we reboot it, we've got things running optimally, right? You have more space, you have more bandwidth. So you can be clearer and lighter and just freer and have more energy because we've deleted all of those blocks from your energetic grid. So we need to find ways to let go of those things, and we really need to pull those unnecessary files from your system and clean it all up. And really what those unnecessary files are all of those stored negative emotions that you don't need to hold on to anymore. So in Chinese medicine, we always say we want to feel our feelings and let them move on. We never want to stuff them down so far that it's really hard to allow them to rise to the surface again so we can let them go. And we definitely don't want to deny our feelings, because when we deny our feelings, well, they are still there. They don't go anywhere. But now we've completely detached or dissociated from those feelings, so it's going to be much harder to reconnect so that you are able to allow them to come to the surface and let them go when you are ready. It can be done, but it's a lot harder. So as you can see, there are many different ways our chi can get stagnant or stuck or even deficient because of the lifestyle that we live. And luckily, there are a number of modalities we can use to help us shift those when they do get really blocked up. So anything under the energy medicine umbrella will really do this to some degree. Some will be better than others, of course. So whether you see a Reiki practitioner or a shaman, or you go for a breathwork session, or you do pranic breathing, or you do matrix energetics or body talk or psych K or anything like that, any of those modalities will fundamentally be able to help you shift your energy. Now, in my exposure to all of these different modalities and training in many of them, I've determined that the best ones that are out there are the ones that are rooted in Chinese energetics, specifically the ones that come from martial arts. And I was lucky enough to be trained under Dr. Cam Yuen, who is a 35th generation Shaolin martial arts master. Now, Dr. Yuen was actually the martial arts advisor on the set of the David Carradine Kung Fu series. So if you've seen that show, you probably have some familiarity with that style of Kung Fu. So Shaolin martial arts really came about because the Shaolin temple is a Chan Buddhist temple. And so the monks would spend long hours every single day meditating. So the monks really had to find some way to physically train their body in the most effective, efficient way where they could offset a lot of that sitting that they were doing. So they wanted to get their chi flowing again. And they also wanted to be able to protect their temple and the village that the temple was in. So perhaps the most impressive discipline within the Shaolin martial arts system is the fact that they continuously look for energetic weaknesses so they can strengthen their fighter, right? If you could find and locate the energetic weaknesses or blocks and you could correct them or strengthen them, that fighter would be far superior when they went into battle the next time because those energetic issues were resolved. So for example, let's say a Shaolin warrior goes into combat and they get hit in the shoulder and they get hit so hard that they end up losing the fight because of that, right? Well, their master, their Sifu, would take them aside later and really delve into their energetic grid, find out what's going on there, what was weak. They would find those weaknesses and strengthen them so the next time that fighter went into combat, that would no longer be an issue. They could get hit in that shoulder and it would be no problem. In fact, they would be successful. So you might be wondering, well, how exactly does the practitioner do this? How do they shift the energy? How do they even identify what the actual issues are, where the blocks are, right? Well, that really comes down to two things. So the first thing is our intuition. And if we're going to be able to listen to other people's energy, we're going to have to hone our intuition. So our intuition is really, at play whenever we are finishing other people's sentences, or we are able to know exactly what a child needs when they're crying, right? You're actually just being in sync with what they need, in sync with their energy at that moment in time. And we can really hone our intuition by quieting our linear mind. So really getting that to just calm down, to sort of let it dissipate so we can allow the intuitive mind to now rise up. Because the intuitive mind is always there. It's always speaking to us. We just usually can't hear it for the noise because we always have that logical mind, trying to get us, to plan the next thing and get all our to-do list done and, maybe thinking about conversations we had earlier in the day and things we could have said differently or done differently or things you should do now, right? So once we can find really good ways to quiet that down and allow that intuitive mind to speak to us, we really can hear it with some certainty and we know what it's trying to tell us. We know what it's actually communicating to us. So good ways to hone that intuition and quiet that linear mind is meditation. So meditation will definitely do it, especially if you do it on a daily basis. Make that a discipline that you have. Things like journaling can help, yoga can help, qigong can help, getting out into nature can help. But all of those tools will really help you to quiet down all of the noise that we constantly hear in our heads and allow that intuition to speak to us. And the second part is our intention. So your intention carries a lot of energy behind it, right? So we can use our intention to really do something with whatever we found intuitively came up as an energetic block or an energetic weakness, right? So all we're doing is just like the computer trying to, put those files in the trash bin or clean things up or let them go, release them down. Whatever that is, we're using our intuitive mind to apply it to what we found as the energetic block. So take, for example, someone comes to me and they say they have a headache. I'm first going to ask them, can you please describe the sensation you are feeling? So what does the pain feel like? Is it sharp, stabbing, dull, achy, burning, throbbing, annoying? Like, what is the actual sensation you're feeling? And so they'll usually describe it in some way. And let's say they say stabbing. Well, their semantics matter, and the semantic is telling me a little bit more about what's going on there. So I intuitively ask, okay, what's this going to be about? What's with the stabbing? What's at the heart there? And something will pop up. It will usually be something around feeling stabbed in the back, let's say. So when I verbalize that, the person usually tells me, oh my goodness, of course, yes, just last week something happened with a coworker and I felt like they threw me under the bus. They stabbed me in the back. I absolutely feel that way. How do you know that? How are you in my head right now? Right? And really that's just because I'm in tune with your energy. So I'm just listening to what they've already got going on. And so then we're going to shift that. So we apply the intention, we make the shift. I ask again, how does your head feel now? And now it will be something different. It may be completely gone. And if not, it will be something different, usually to a lesser degree. So now it may be something that is just a dull ache. Okay, so again, we ask, what's going on? What's with the dullness? Why does she have dull, looming in her energy? And something will come up to the degree that is dull. So something like being bored, being completely bored in their job, not having any hobbies, not knowing what to do next because they're just bored all the time. So we correct that one and we ask again, how does your head feel now? And eventually we get to this place where they no longer can tune into it. So usually what I hear is, I don't know. My mind is completely blank. And usually that kind of freaks people out because they're like, what the heck? I can't tune into it anymore. It seems like it's not there. It feels like, like there's just a blank canvas. And that's perfect. That's when I know the energy has shifted and it's completely gone. There's no longer an attachment or an influence by whatever that energetic weakness was to how they're actually physically showing up, how that's actually presenting. And lo and behold, their headache is also dissipating, if not totally gone. So for those of you who are watching right now and you've actually had an energy session with me, do comment below. I'd love to hear your aha moment or how you felt when that first initial shift happened where your mind went blank. Do you remember what that was like? Please tell everyone else so they can kind of get a feel for how that actually goes and how profound that might have been for you. So that's really what we do with any sort of issue. So it could be a physical thing or it could be a mental emotional thing going on. You could be worried about the economy or your finances or current events and wars that are going on. Or maybe you've got a sick family member and you don't know what to do with that and you feel kind of helpless, right? Any of those negative emotions that we're really harboring and holding on to and kind of rehashing time and again are actually just energetic blocks. So we want to be able to find those and help them release. And when you release those blocks, you're no longer affected by them in the same way. So do they go away? No, that whatever's going on in your life will still be going on in your life, but you're no longer as influenced or as affected by what that is. And so as humans, it's human nature that we also want to really tell everybody about our negative things that are going on. The person who cut you off in traffic or the bad service you had at a restaurant. You always want to complain to others and share that experience. And I think it's hopefully to lighten our load in a way we think we get it off our chest, but you're not actually doing that. You're actually amplifying that negative energy by broadcasting it, by rethinking about it over and over and over again. You're layering onto it, and now you're involving other people who are going to bring their energetic weaknesses and add that on top. So one big ball of stagnation, the more people you sort of draw into that negative experience. So be very mindful of the things you do share with others and the things that you're really centered on and focused on. If they don't feel good to you, you need to find a way to let them go. So it's really important for you if you want to shift your energy because you find you are, quite often kind of stuck in a rut where you're feeling like everything is a struggle. It's never easy. You kind of have this dark cloud hanging over your head where, it's just nothing ever goes your way kind of feeling. Then you really need to start thinking about how you can actually focus your own thoughts, because your thoughts are energy and your thoughts are creating some of these energetic blocks you've got going on or amplifying them, right? So, turn off the news. That is definitely one giant source of negative energy that is coming at you all the time, amplifying your own worries and concerns and things you've already got going on. So shut that off. You don't need to know about all the negative things happening in the world all the time incessantly. Stop complaining, right? Anytime we want to continue that negative energy, we're only amplifying it. So be mindful that, that old adage, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So when you can, just focus on anything other than the thing you're complaining about, because then that will decrease the energy of that negative thing and hopefully shift it to something more positive. And then lastly, of course, you can find someone that can help you shift your energy. So whether you take a Qigong class or sign up for Tai Chi, or you go do a breathwork session, or you see an energy medicine practitioner who can do just that for you. All of those things would be very helpful in getting you unstuck, especially when you've got really big boulders in the way. And as soon as you get those big boulders out of the way, everything else is easier. Anything you do after that will be easier and seem more efficient and an easier way for you to do that because those energetic blocks are now gone. Now, energy work is wonderful for anyone who is feeling that way, sort of stuck in a rut, kind of spinning your tires, not making progress, even though you're trying really hard, you're really putting some attention and focus into things, but they're not going your way. They're not free flowing and just effortless, right? Definitely see an energy practitioner to help you get unstuck if that's how you're feeling. Now, when you do go in for a session, you might be very surprised to find out that you've got quite a few things running in the background, right? You've got some subconscious beliefs that might be undermining a lot of the goals you have set and the things that you're wanting to bring into your life and the things you're wanting to accomplish, largely that have happened before the age of 7, right? In childhood programming, and now are like limiting beliefs for you, right? So you might be having a lot of aha moments in an energy session because these things will come up and you'll be like, yeah, how did you know that? Of course, I've always felt that way. I've always had a problem with this. I didn't realize that's what was going on. I didn't realize that's what was undermining all of my efforts here, right? So you might be very surprised to see those things brought to light, but the good news is once we bring them to the light, you're able to let them go. And like I said, once you get to those core issues and pull those from your system, everything else starts optimally functioning. But this is especially useful for people who are highly sensitive people or empaths, right? Because we go through life absorbing all of the energy and emotion of people around us. Sometimes we're not even aware we're doing that, but we get really bogged down and really overwhelmed quite quickly because of all of that. And if we don't have really good ways to let those things go on a daily basis, we're gonna get jammed up. Like that computer that's overrun with, malware and spyware and a bunch of unnecessary files and things that are corrupted and running in the background and all that. We need to clean things up. So it's especially useful for our empath friends out there. So if you found this video helpful, please do share it with others. Also, subscribe and hit the like button so that we can share this information with more people who are looking to find solutions to some of the things that are really holding them back, that are really weighing them down, that are really blocked up in their energy. I thank you so much for watching the video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.